Steve Cohen re-engages Scott Boras in regard to Pete Alonso following the Amazing Day press conference. The New York Mets check in on the availability of two first basemen throughout MLB, and an ace might just be available for the right price. Next on Metcast. Welcome back to Metcast, friends. As always, I am Ray, and if you're enjoying this content, all I ask is that you like and subscribe. Help us get to that 4K subscriber goal that we have out there. And now I want to break in right away to our lead story. Jon Heyman just had a massive story breaking in regard to the New York Mets, and we're going to bring it to you right now. So here it is, Met fans, tweeted out by Mets Mirage no more than 48 hours after publicly lamenting the seemingly endless saga and helping quell the boos after baseball president David Stearns told fans how wonderful their prospects are. Cohen was back in conversations with the Pete Alonso camp. A lot more is going to be coming out over the next day or two, but I think fans booing the Pete Alonso thing and the secondary options, maybe that triggered Cohen. But I will say this, I think Steve Cohen, despite all other types of reports, is going to be willing to go over that 301 for this year to possibly retain Pete Alonso for this year, knowing what's coming ahead in free agency. Also, we have these other two stories I would like to take a look at in regard to the Mets potentially targeting two other first basemen that are currently on major league rosters. Let's take a look. So we have this from Pat Ragazzo. The New York Mets have discussed a potential trade with Ryan Mountcastle. He's a solid player. I want to take a deeper dive into his stats really quick. So here you have it. Ryan Mountcastle, age 27 season. It was okay. Nothing to write home about. A 733 OPS, as you could see right here, on base percentage of 308, 271, 114 strikeouts in 507 at bats, which is okay. That WAR is 2.6. Like, he could be a potential backup option for the New York Mets if they do miss out on Pete Alonso. But one thing tells me, maybe, just maybe, the New York Mets are not as confident in Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty when it comes to moving either one of them to first base, considering the Mets are checking in on just about everybody. The Mets also checked in on another first baseman. Let's take a look. So here you have it, Spencer Torkelson of the Detroit Tigers. There's been rumors that he has been made available by the Tigers, and I saw a report that they are allegedly seeking most organizations two top 15 prospects, which are not necessarily top 5 prospects. But let's take a look at what he did last year. Last year, the numbers were just bad. 342 at bats. Let's just say it was a down year for this guy. His OPS 669, 10 home runs in 92 games. You stretch that out, maybe he gets to 20 home runs, 219 batting average, 105 strikeouts. So he's well on his way to strike out almost 200 times. If the Mets were to pick him up, they would probably look back at his age 23 season, where over 684 at bats, that OPS is much better at 758. And we all know David Stearns is the type of general manager who thinks that he could fix just about anybody. So that's another potential outlet that the New York Mets could go to in regard to filling that first base hole, maybe bringing them in to be more of a designated hitter. Although Torkelson, I'm not too much of a fan of. I think this team needs more of established players on it. We have the Vientoses, we have the Beatties, we have the Acuñas, we have the Mauricios. Those are 4 guys right there that need to prove themselves again this year. I know a lot of people are going to say Mark Vientos doesn't need to prove himself, but in my opinion, it's his sophomore year. It's his legit sophomore year. I don't think he's going to go into a slump, but the league is going to adjust, and I think that's kind of what happened to Torkelson there. Now, on to the next topic. There has been a ton of rumors flying around in regard to pitchers that could potentially be available, and there's one specific pitcher I think the Mets must target, and if you land this guy, it could change this entire offseason. Here it is. Here it is. Per Ken Rosenthal, the former New York Yankee, is available. Michael King, check out those 2024 stats: 173, 2/3 inning, 2.95 ERA, 201 strikeouts, well over a 9 KP9. And I tweeted this out earlier. The Mets should be all over this. I assume the asking price is high, but he is a legitimate front end starter that I've spoken about on this show before. And guys, it takes to get. He's in his final year of his contract, $8 million. And I know a lot of Met fans out there are going to say, well, Ray, we should just be waiting until the offseason next year to sign him. It's always about the next year when it comes to the Mets. Last year, we didn't do anything in 2024 because Juan Soto was a free agent. So you get Juan Soto. So next year, you're going to say, let's wait till 2025 offseason, go get Michael King, and then it'll be the next guy. Michael King is the type of pitcher who's on his way up. He reminds me a lot of Zach Wheeler, how he never really put it together with us, but then he left and went to Philly. And once he turned into his really late 20s, early 30s, he blossomed into the ace that he is now. And I think that Michael King is the pitcher we need to get. He would be our number one. Manaea would be your number two. Senga's your number three. This entire rotation looks transformed if you're adding a guy like him. I know it's going to cost a lot, but I would need to know that he's open to contract extension talks. He's the kind of guy you bring in, you extend him right away if he's willing to at age 29 years old, and then you're good. For next year, when you go into the offseason, you have Manaea, you have Senga, you have Peterson, you have Michael King. So if you're going to add anybody, you could add a legitimate front end guy, or not necessarily have to. You're pretty much stacked. That's how you're going to compete with the Dodgers. And I know I always press, you got to compete in the NL East first. And he's the kind of guy that takes me right to competing with the Phillies and the Braves for the division. Now, I understand a lot of you guys are going to say, like I just said, wait till the end of next season. So let's take a look at some of the available options and what the latest reports are on them. I saw another report by another reporter. Let's bring it up for you guys right now. So here you have it from Pat Ragazzo. The New York Mets are monitoring Jack Flaherty and Nick Pivetta if the market falls back to them. Guys, listen, the spring training starts in just a couple of weeks. Today is the 28th. Just in a couple of days, it's February. And then you have pitchers and catchers reporting. So I think that one of these guys are going to fall to the Mets. Maybe you get Jack Flaherty on that 2 to 3 year contract with an opt out after 2 years. And I understand his injury history, but when he pitches, there's no doubt how effective he is. And that's where things stand today. If I'm the New York Mets, it looks like they're going to potentially bring Pete Alonso back. I think a lot of things, because of that amazing day, flipped over. Steve Cohen knows how the fans feel. I think the structure is awful. I think he's right. Would I have said it publicly? I don't know. I'm not in those shoes. I know a lot of people have been asking me, would you have gone out there and said that? I'm not so sure that I would have, but Steve Cohen is a man of conviction, and you can almost feel it. When he's talking, he wants Pete back, but he wants Pete back at a reasonably structured contract, not these crazy contracts that they have out there. And I think there's a really high chance the Mets either bring in a Pivetta or a Jack Flaherty. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Should they target one of those two guys, or should they throw the Hail Mary, go get Michael King because he is clearly available, bring him in here? Maybe they take a Jeff McNeil back and a bunch of prospects because they're still trying to compete, San Diego. It's not like they're in a full rebuild, so maybe they don't want all the prospects, but they gave away an absolute ton last year at the deadline for Tanner Scott. They traded a ton for Juan Soto, so they're really hurting when it comes to that. But if it's me, I'm making that move for Michael King. Again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this content, I humbly ask you to just give us a like and subscribe. Check us out on our other platforms, Facebook and on X. And as content continues to come in, we'll be bringing you more live content, Dan and myself, with some guests. Until next time, everybody, take care.